Welcome to this week's episode of Successful AF, the podcast for people who've climbed all the ladders, ticked all the boxes, and still feel like success is a million miles away. I'm your host, Jess West, leadership and burnout coach for high-achieving women. I help you redefine success without sacrificing your well-being. Before we dive in, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been bearing with me as I found my rhythm with the podcast. We're now releasing episodes bi-weekly on Sundays, and I really appreciate your patience and continued support. Today, I'm joined by Maria from Maria Peace Yoga. This conversation has been 6 months in the making. Maria was one of the first people I asked to be on the podcast, actually before I'd even recorded the first episode. So I'm incredibly glad we're finally here. Maria's story is extraordinary. Born in South America and raised in Spain, she moved to London in 2013 with just €1,000 in cash, one friend and a vision. From walking down Regent Street handing out CVs to every shop, to building a career in fashion, to becoming a sought-after yoga teacher with a thriving community, Maria embodies what it means to create the life you truly want to live. What makes Maria's approach to yoga so special is her commitment to accessibility. As a former ballet dancer who never looked like anyone else in the room, she's built her entire teaching method around making yoga available for all body types, regardless of size, age, or ability. And trust me, when Maria talks about her retreats where students laugh so hard they all get stomach aches, you'll feel the genuine joy and community she's created. Maria's definition of success is beautifully simple. It's freedom. Freedom in your body, freedom in your relationships, freedom in your work, and perhaps most importantly, the freedom to show up as your authentic self. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome, Maria.
Welcome.
It's been 6 months of trying to get you on the pod, let's be honest. You were one of the first people I asked. So I'm excited that we're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited too. Thank you for having me.
Tell us your story.
I want to try and be short with this story, but I think it is a good story.
It's a great story, and I don't even know all of it. So
you don't know all of it, so this is news for you. So, I was born in South America, in Uruguay, in the 80s. I'm gonna leave it like that for now, in the 80s. But my parents and myself, my brother and my grandma, we moved to Spain in the 90s. So I grew up in north of Spain. And it was a very big decision for my parents to change their life completely, and leave everything behind. And we grew up actually very safe in a beautiful environment. But I grew up kind of believing that I was Spanish and I was Galician, somewhere where I grew up. And I always felt like very, very disconnected with my Latin side. So I always kind of like hide it. I didn't want to like everyone think about that I was from South America, and I always kind of like try to hide that. This is all for context, just by the way, not just
No, we
just
love
for
it.
context. And then, I grew up in Spain, things happened, I went to university, started dancing. But I kind of like, in the past years, I kind of started really, really uncovering my identity. And this kind of like tapping into my Latin side has been a very, very big piece of who I am. But also, now we're getting into business, getting into my yoga practice and understanding who I am. As I said, like briefly, I was a dancer for a few years, and that was like really, really special to me. I always think about that, like the best years of my life ever. I used to dance for years, morning to evening. But then I actually stopped dancing. I went to university, and I almost kind of like felt like something was missing. And I remember like some of my friends were like, "Oh, you should try yoga. You should try yoga." I also was suffering with a lot of anxiety back then, like a lot. I used to have panic attacks and all of that. And my friends were like, "You should try yoga. You should try yoga." Actually, just getting into the room and practicing yoga, it was almost like rediscovering that feeling of like when I used to dance. So I kind of stuck with it. I kept practicing. Then I moved to London. And I was like, this is, I think, what I want to do. This is what I want to share. Like, the way that I am feeling is what I want to share with everyone. And that's why I became a yoga teacher. So yeah, I'm a yoga teacher now.
And a beautiful yoga teacher, right? You've developed your own method, you've got a mentoring program. I've been to your class, I absolutely loved it. But there's so much to unpack. Firstly, let's just start because I'm curious. What kind of dancing were you doing?
I used to be a ballet dancer, so classical.
Wow, so like
Which,
trained, did you start when you were young?
not really actually. I started quite late in life. I think I was 15 or 16 when I started, and I danced all the way until I was 21, 22. So I started quite late actually. And this is also a great point, and thank you for asking this, because can you imagine me being a classical dancer? Hello. We just said that I was Latina, I have curves and I have a different body. So I also grew up in a room where no one looked like me. Absolutely no one. And I think this kind of also translated into what I do now and how I teach and how I approach my practice. So yeah, that's what I used to do.
Tell us more about that, like how you approach your practice, and because you talk a lot online about like being a different style of yoga teacher and not looking how we might typically assume a yoga teacher should look, although that's bollocks. But anyway, tell us more.
So if you think about yoga, and I mean, you also the teacher, you also practice, but if we think about yoga, we think about like long bodies, tall, blonde people, skinny, or on the other hand, I think about obviously traditionally male from India. That's what I think the general population, we call it like common consciousness, we think about yoga. So in all my years of practice, I step into a room, and again, I was the biggest person in the room. I was the curviest person in the room. And there was always something inside me that was telling me, there should be something else. There should be something else. This is not enough. I cannot do this pose because I have breasts, because I have thighs, because I have There is not enough offering of accessibility and availability in yoga. So I started kind of exploring with my own practice. I learned from my teacher, Patrick. He has developed a method, and it's called Awakening Yoga, where it's a modern map or a modern approach into yoga. And then from this, I started really kind of understanding my practice. And I understood that my practice is very different to my practice now is very different to what my practice used to be like 10 years ago. But essentially because I understood what that practice means for myself and for my body. And with that in mind, and actually you were saying just a few moments ago, like I have developed my own method, which essentially is all about making yoga accessible and available for all body types, regardless. Regardless. And a good example is like today, I have already 3 classes in the morning. I had a student that probably she must be 75 years old, and she's able to practice for the whole class. Something that I also been really trying to bring into my class is that sometimes we feel like yoga is almost like a punishment or a way of pushing you and like making you push like the buttons. But I'm actually trying really, really hard to create a space where people feel like, okay, I'm safe here. There's nothing I need to prove, nothing that I need to achieve. So this is kind of what I've been doing from my own practice, and I have created this based on what I experience.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
I think what you said is really stuck with me there is that you had this woman in your class who was an older woman and perhaps like hasn't done a lot of yoga, but she was able to practice the whole time. And I think when I first went to yoga, and this was a long time ago, it was like, oh, if you can't do it, just take child's pose. Just take child's pose. And so you were sort of almost ostracized from the class. And I think it has moved on a lot, but actually you really taking it to that like next level of inclusivity and just providing it's not, you don't call them modifications, do you? You call that, you give them options, is that right?
Options,
Yeah.
yes. I do use sometimes the word modify if they are students who are already comfortable in the practice, or if they come to my classes a lot, so they already know what options. But I also try to stay away from the word modification, which is fine. But what I try to do is I almost try to filter through a lens of accessibility everything I teach. And it's almost like I work backwards. So if I want to teach, let's say, a very complicated pose, revolve pyramid pose, which is a humongous pose and it feels big, you have to twist, you have to have hamstring. And I almost kind of like work backwards, and I said, okay, if I want to teach this pose, what things I need to remove or what things I need to add to make this available. And it's not only about, oh, let's grab some props, use the 2 blocks if you need to support yourself, but it's more about, okay, if this is where I want to go, how do I get there? And how I make this journey, this path, a path that everyone can walk. And I really, really, really believe in what I do. And I really believe in this method that I've been possibly doing, like, as I like to say, like in my student phases for the past 2 years. I always taught in the same way, but I think in the past 2 years I have come almost like hyped up this method, and like, here you are, it's in your face, this is what you're getting. And it's been working great, to be honest.
Beautiful. Tell me what success means to you.
I was actually reflecting on this since we last spoke. And I think for me, success is freedom. And it's freedom and everything you can. I think the first thing is feeling yourself free in your body. And again, this is something that I learned from these situations, from my dancing background, and how I learned to accept myself with, everything I am and everything I got. But that's probably the kind of a starting point of what I feel like success and freedom. But I think it's also like transferable in all areas of your life. So if you feel free in your relationships, and if you feel free in your career and the work that I do, and you are able to be fully yourself, this for me is success. This is possibly like reaching the peak of success is I am the freest person that I can be, or I am the freest Maria that I can be. And that's for me what I see as success.
Do you feel successful based on that definition?
I do.
Beautiful.
I do, especially in my teaching. Like, the person that you see teaching a class is myself. It's me. It's how I am. And I almost kind of learn, but also unlearn to just be myself. And I don't have to put, a facade or a teaching persona, or like, and this is who I am, and this is what you get. And I think this is why students kind of gravitate towards me because of that, because they see, this is Maria, this is a real person, and this is it, and I think I also feel like that when I'm teaching. It's almost like, and I always say this, especially to some of my friends, it's like, if you want to see the rawest part of myself, come to one of my classes, because you'll see it.
Tell me about having to learn to be yourself. Well, you said you had to learn and then unlearn. So tell me about that.
Yes. So I think learning about myself, it has happened from a place of comfort.
Mm.
And this is very bizarre what I'm gonna tell, but this is a very good starting point of when I started to feel comfortable in myself. And I learned to be who I am and fully me. And again, very bizarre, but let's go there. I've been an Alicia Keys fan for years, since I was, I don't know, 13, 14. And I always look up to her so much. I know she's one of my inspirations for me. And I remember, like, at some point, she made a statement saying, I am done with wearing makeup. I am done. I don't know if you remember this. You remember
No,
this?
I don't
No.
remember.
She did this like thing where I am done with the makeup. So she started going into interviews without makeup, without doing her hair too much, like embracing who she was. And that kind of thing, it started kind of like making me think. So I used to wear makeup all the time. I used to always wear like the most, I don't know, fashionable clothes. I used to always kind of like try to present myself in a way that truthfully, that person was not me.
Mm.
That person was not me. And even happened to me at the very beginning of moving to London, I arrived here and I was like, wow, I'm here in London, it's cool, it's nice. And I almost kind of always I was trying to be this person, to look in a certain way, to wear this. And at some point I was like, no. And this all comes with a yoga journey and experience. But at some point I was like, nah, this is not me. Who am I? Who am I? And who am I? I am the person who wears no makeup. I am the person who can be wearing pajamas all day. And I am a person who sits in the mat and practices. And I think it was almost a journey of physically, mentally, energetically, emotionally, materialistically. I don't know if that's
Mm-hmm.
even a word,
Yeah, why not?
but I don't know. But like removing all the layers,
Mm.
and really kind of uncovering that. But having said that, I'm still on the journey. This has not finished yet. I'm still like learning more as I go, in as an in my own self. There's, I think, a self-development journey is something that you do until you're no longer here. That's how I've been feeling.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And I think um, the biggest mistake we can make is think I'm done. Like, oh, I'm done with self development. Like, I've done the course, or I've done the training, or I've done whatever, and that's it. And because I strongly believe that you either grow
Hmm.
or you are in entropy
Hmm.
and decay. And so for me, the choice is always going to be to grow, because decaying doesn't sound so good. But I think it can be really easy to slip into the, oh, I'm done now, like I've done the therapy, I've done whatever. And it's a lot harder to stick with the personal development. It's a lot harder to continue to grow and question and yeah, keep facing yourself and knowing yourself as you change. Um, so yeah, basically I agree.
And I think there's also like a huge part of discomfort.
Mm.
A huge part of discomfort when you are learning to be yourself or when you are uncovering yourself, that you might have to face uncomfortable conversations. You might have with yourself and with others. You might have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And I think there is a huge learning in regards to not thinking, oh, these things happen to me, right? But more of how did I react when these things happen to me? And it's yes, there is discomfort, but there is also growth.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I put myself in situations that happen now, but if I think about Maria 15 years ago, it will be very, very different. Very different outcome. But now, I think because I almost like sit myself in my seat of my own persona and who I am, that I'm like, yes, or no, or let's approach this in this way, or let's approach this in this way. And I think almost like uncovering truthfully who you are, I think is the biggest part of success.
I love that so much.
Thanks.
Tell me, like, has that always been your definition of success, or has it changed as you've grown up?
You know what? I don't think I ever been a success-driven person. If I think about growing up, I don't think I ever thought about, I need to get this or I need to achieve this as a success. But I have always been driven and dedicated and focused. It's funny because I have a brother. Obviously, we grew up together, and we are the complete opposite. And when growing up, my mom always thought that my brother was. I mean, if you're hearing this, my brother, sorry, but this is the truth. My mom always thought that, my brother was the intelligent one, the action person, the one who was gonna achieve, and she always thought about myself like, she always is gonna encounter problems. She's not very smart. Well, this is how I experienced it or how I felt. But the reality of the things is that I always accomplished so much that my mom was always like, almost like surprised. And, with the year now 25, like I have my own business. I have done so much that I don't think my mom never thought that this could have happened. She always thought like, oh yeah, your brother. But actually, I have a master's degree. I went to university and I did all these things. And I did all these things because I am driven and I am focused and I am dedicated. But I never thought about success. However, since having my own business, so this has been happening for the past maybe 5 years or so, I've been thinking about success a lot. And of course, success, as I was saying, it means like freedom and almost like for me, it's about doing what I like to do and teaching yoga to the world. But it's also about traveling and it's also about creating community. And of course, there is success that is attached to being comfortable financially, and having a business that is thriving and a business that's exciting and a community that, everything I put forward, my community is like, yeah, we're gonna do it. Great, great. And that's success for me as well.
Yeah. We need to talk about your community, but we'll come to that in a minute. You said obviously you've moved to London. When did you move to London and what brought you here?
So I moved to London in 2013.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, this is a great example. I moved here by myself. I knew one person in London. I moved by myself with 1,000 euros in cash. That's all. I told my parents I was living by myself already. I've been working since I'm 18, 19. I've been making my own money since then. But I moved to London because I had a vision. And that vision was I wanted to work in fashion. I was in my town in Coruña, in like a small village, which is actually is very known, because this is where the Zara offices are and the creator of Zara. So there's a sense of fashion in the city. But I always felt like I needed more. I needed more. So I I was like, if I want to work in fashion, I need to go to London. I don't know why I thought about that, and I did it. And I moved here, and I go here without a job, without a plan. I did have a friend who actually helped me, and she let me stay in her house for a few weeks, then became months. But I go here, and I remember walking in Regent Street, Oxford Circus, with a CV in my hand, going into every single shop, like retail. And I will go to shop and I will go to, and this is where I will do my days. And I did that for 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, I got a job. I got a job in a shop, in a store, selling clothes. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be my plan A. I'm going to start here. I'm going to work. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to get settled and established in London, improve my English. Great. When I felt like, it's time for me to move on. I think I got what I needed from this job. I started applying into fashion jobs that I wanted to do, which was trend forecasting. So working with the creative side of fashion. And I did that. I applied to a job. I got a job straight away. I had very good English, so sometimes, this helped. They were looking for someone who was also able to speak in Spanish and Portuguese, and obviously I was able to do that. And this is what I did for 5, 6 years, I believe. I used to travel to Vegas, New York, LA. Great. And then from there, I moved to another fashion company. Great team, great company, very exciting things. I started working in beauty as well as fashion. But there was something that it was telling me, no, it's not for you, it's not for you, it's not for you. And one day I quit my job. And I was like, no, I want to teach yoga for a living. And this is what I do.
And were you already a trained yoga teacher at that point?
Yes. So this actually happened in 2020. So in 2020, we were a start of COVID, which is crazy. We think about what the years that we had with COVID and the things that we went through. Sometimes I think about like this. It was like a movie. Like I can't believe that we went through that. But because we were in COVID, our overachieving Maria thought, well, this is a great opportunity. Everyone is at home. I have free time. There's nothing I need to do. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do my teacher training. So I did my teacher training.
So you did it online?
I did it online, part in person with my teacher, Patrick. Great training. I learned so much. And my teacher said to me, start teaching. So I did. I started teaching. I started teaching online to my coworkers, to my friends who were bored in the house. There was nothing to do. Nothing was open. Great idea. So I started teaching online. Work on my skills as a teacher. I had the time. We have, a very easy setup. I will teach from here, literally when I'm sitting here. I will teach for months and months, Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, from this very small space. And then from there, when COVID started dissipating and things started opening, I applied to more yoga. And they were like, yes, you're ready, come and teach. And I got my first teaching spot. And I think that was possibly, I can't even remember when, but a few months after I graduated. There was not that much time in between. And then from one class, 2 classes, 3 classes, 10 classes, and here we are, 2025. Crazy journey.
What I love about you, so I think it's probably worth just interjecting, like we met doing Charlotte Reynolds's coaching era course. Like we met sort of basically through effectively a business coach.
Hmm.
And I remember like when we first met, like we were almost like opposites. Like I had all my offers and they were online, but no one was buying them. And you were like, I know exactly where I'm going. It's not online, and I have a huge community, and my community totally believe me. And I was like, how do I get to where this woman is? And I remember you were like, oh no, but like I've written them all out. And Charlotte was like, of course you have, and you'd done it, and you'd like written, you knew the structure. And I am always in awe of how it's not just the focus, it's the vision that you have and your ability to just completely believe in yourself and say, that's what I'm going to do and that's how I'm going to get there. Like I can 100% imagine you just going down Regent Street, handing out CVs, being like, cool, right, who wants me then?
Yeah.
Um, where does that come from? Where does that drive, where does that self-belief come from? Is it just innate or did you learn it?
Do you know what? I think it's my dad.
Okay,
My
tell me more.
dad is my dad is the same. And like, let's be honest. Me and my dad, we are not very similar. Also, we are both Gemini, which maybe makes sense. Oh, look at this very
How on brand.
t-shirt, how on brand. But my dad is like this, you know. My dad is a hard worker. My dad is he is like this.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, he's tunnel vision, and he is an achiever, and he does, and he, you know, like we say in Spain, you have to lift all the rocks to find it, and he will do it. And I think I learned that from him, and probably it's one of the only things I learned from him. But if anything, my drive and my kind of ethic to work and to focus and to have a vision, most likely it is from my dad. But there is also a lot of things that I think that are innate to me in the way that I had to build my life, I had to create my career. Um, but it's almost like if I close my eyes, I see it. And this is something I actually share with my mentees a lot in my program, my Evolve mentorship program. And it's like, see yourself there. If you can actually see yourself teaching or, I don't know, hosting a retreat or doing a teacher training or teaching a studio, opening your studio, if you close your eyes and you see yourself, truly, it will happen. It will happen. And no one can tell me otherwise. Seriously, I believe in that so much.
I love that so much. You are very inspirational. You've inspired me so much I've forgotten what the next question is. I'm going to have to
Thank
look.
you. This look is fine.
Yeah. Okay. What challenges have you had to what challenges have you had to overcome
As a yoga teacher,
in life?
this is a hard question, I think.
Mm.
And it's a hard question because let me see how can I put this into words what I'm hearing in my brain. Truthfully, I don't feel like I had any challenges in my life. I don't think I had any, maybe let's call it hurdles in my life. I am a very positive person by nature. So I always feel like there are things that just show me something. There are things that, you know, I think like, oh, this is gonna happen this way, and then things that don't go this way, and I'm like, interesting. So how I'm gonna approach this? So if I truly think about it, I don't think about any challenges per se, but there are definitely things that I learned along the way that made me having to almost like reroute myself. Or if I was thinking, oh, you know, smooth sailing, let's go. No, Maria, chill, chill. You thought that you were gonna go through this smooth sailing, but actually it's gonna be more like a quad in a desert dunes vibe. Um, but yeah, I think it's also like the outlook I have in things, you know, like I don't see things as negative normally. I always think, and this is truly, this is my true nature. But of course, like there are things that you think about and you're like, you know, this is not going as I would like to go, or this happened to me, you know, I was not expecting this, and but I always feel like the way that you approach things is gonna change the end result. That's how I feel.
And I think that's really true. Really true. In that case, what advice would you give your younger self, if any?
I think the biggest advice I will give to my young self is that you can do anything you want. You can do anything you want. If that thing you want is becoming a circus performer, I guarantee that I will be in a circus in a few weeks. If I think that if I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, do you know what, tomorrow I want to drive race cars, I can tell you I will do it. And I don't think I knew this when I was younger. I don't think I knew how much, again, focus and willingness and like opportunity I would have, as being myself now and just going to places and feeling comfortable and strong and confident, as I feel now. But I think it's also like a lot to do with confidence. And it was so funny because that was possibly me. I don't know if that was me like 12 years ago, but definitely me walking in Oxford Circus with CVs in my hand saying, who wants me? That is something that most likely I will do now. I don't know if that's how I felt 12 years ago, but possibly in some capacity I did. But yeah, that's true. I will now go somewhere and say, okay, who wants me? Here I am, and I think confidence is also, I think, part of being successful. And I do believe that in that a lot as well.
And do you think you can learn confidence?
I'm sure there are a lot of like confidence coaches out there, right? I believe that you can learn to be confident. I think so. But I will say that I think to be confident, you need to really know yourself. That's how I feel. I think for you to be really confident, you need to know yourself. You need to almost like know exactly who you are so then you can step into any situation with confidence. Do you feel this way?
Yeah, I agree. I think because I think it's impossible to be confident when you're not showing up as you. When you're showing up as someone else, you're wearing a mask. I think you can show as confident, but you will never feel confident.
Correct.
And people can see that.
Yeah, I agree.
Having a lovely time. What permission do you want to give others through your story?
So I am going to, obviously, like my story is like segmented and we talk about so many things, but I think I want to kind of like funnel this in regards to the business side of it. And what I will want people to almost like allow themselves is to create a life that they really want to truly live. And that is something I think about all the time. Like when I was in the office, and I was actually in this desk, and I was in this job, which I love, by the way, and everyone was lovely. We had a lovely team. I kept thinking about, I need to create my dream life. I need to create my dream life. This is not it. This is not, and I'm still working towards that. Disclaimer, still working towards that. But just giving yourself permission to create a life that you truly want to live. And if you are not happy at your job, if you're not happy in your relationship, do whatever you need to do to make the life that you want. And that's kind of, I think, what I will say.
I love that so much. I've got
That's what I would
goosebumps.
say. Stop it.
Create the life you want to live. It's very simple,
It's very simple.
but to actually do it and to have the cajones to do it.
See, to have the balls, and this is again something that I always talk about with my mentees. They are amazing teachers. Some of them, they still have jobs, they work in the office or what. And I always am encouraging them, do whatever you need to do, change your life if you need to. And some of them, they have done like amazing transformations that I'm like so inspired by and so amazed by. Like I have this student, she's amazing, and she just moved into a boat, and I'm like, this is amazing to me. She's so cool, so inspirational to me. So if you're listening, hello. uh, but I'm just like, wow, and then you're working towards those things that you want to do in life, and you can do it. And so give yourself permission to do that. It's true.
We've touched on your mentorship program, but not really explained it. Why don't you just tell us what it is and how it came about?
Sure. So this is something that I've been thinking for the past years as well. It basically came from the idea of like a lot of teachers always like were texting me, that's still happening. They texting me, they message me and saying, what advice do you have on this? How, I love your content, and you're so inspirational. Who helps you to do all of this, and how you create this software, and how you do this? And I was like, no, it's me. Hello. It's me. It's me who does this. I love. So I always thought that, as a new teacher, things are hard. Like you put so much money, so much effort, so much emotions and happiness and expectations, and you want to you want to be a yoga teacher, and you want to teach, and you want to transform lives, but when you finish your teacher training, you finish your teacher training. So I met a lot of new teachers who were very, very lost in the way, like, okay, how do I actually go from being a new teacher to be an established teacher, but also to run a business? Because between you and me, a lot of yoga teachers, they don't have a business mindset. I have a business mindset because I work in business before, and that's kind of how I brought my skills to what I do. But a lot of yoga teachers, they don't have that. So I almost wanted to kind of create that transition for them, or help them kind of build this bridge. So they're like, okay, great. You are a new yoga teacher. You have done your training. You need confidence to teach. You need clarity to understand who you are as a teacher, but also you need to have some business understanding. How you're going to market yourself. Great if you want to run workshops, great that you want to run retreats, but how do you do this? So almost kind of like I'm taking them by the hand through all this program. We did a 6-month program. We're actually just finishing next month, believe it or not. And the transformation from this group is already amazing. Like they're almost all teaching. They all have teaching jobs. They are getting paid. They are teaching and getting paid, making money. Some of them have expanded their offering. Some of them are doing things that they wanted to do. So, it's almost like there has been a progression in the past 6 months. So very exciting for this program. Very exciting.
It's incredible.
Thank you.
Maria, are you ready for quick fire?
Oof, what is this?
But the idea is that you like answer quickly. So it's like, it should be like a one-word answer where possible.
Try my best. Let's see. The brain works differently, but let's go.
One word to describe your current relationship with success.
Inspirational.
What does rest look like for you?
Sunday market.
One thing you wish more people knew about building a sustainable career.
Believe in yourself.
The success metric that matters to you most right now.
Me on it.
What makes you feel most successful AF?
My students.
Brilliant. And we need to talk about your community, because you have the most incredible community. I think, you've kind of touched on it, because like it's been built quite organically, right? Because you are just who you are and people come to you. Were you building that community before you became a full-time yoga teacher, or did that sort of happen around the same time?
That just happened in an organic way. And almost like I didn't know I wanted this community when I started teaching. I didn't know that this was an option. I didn't know this was something that was going to happen. But what I started noticing is that, I started teaching classes once a week, twice a week. And obviously, as it happened in yoga, you have your regulars, but they can come into you. And then those regulars start asking you for, are you going to do any workshops? And I was like, oh, well, if my regulars are asking me for workshops, I am going to do a workshop. So I did workshops back in 2021, I don't know, 2022. I keep teaching, and then start asking me, are you going to do retreats? Well, if you're asking me, I'm going to offer you retreats. So I started running retreats in 2023. So almost going to be now 3 years ago. And I think that was the tipping point of where I really, really noticed that I was creating a community. I was creating a community by creating a space to hold that community and to host that community. So I did a retreat in Sicily. It was amazing. Everyone had an amazing time. Then I came back and there were already people asking me, what are you doing next? So I literally created a retreat in like 3-4 weeks with Elena, who is the person who helps me with my retreats, an amazing retreat planner, and also my friend and my business partner when it comes to retreats. And we did another retreat. And then from that retreat, another retreat, and more and more and more. So now I'm doing 2026, it's going to be 3 retreats a year. But what happens in those retreats, I cannot explain to you. Like, I just came back from Turkey. I was there like 4 weeks ago. And we laugh so hard in this retreat that every night, and I promise you this, we will go to bed with stomach ache from laughing at dinner. We were laughing at dinner, and it was like one will start and the other, and we were like laughing for 15 minutes straight without even eating. And the way that these people like creating this space, look how excited I get talking about this. Is really what I am doing this job for. And this is my journey, and this is my path, and I see clearly the reason why I'm doing this, and almost like the reason why I'm on this earth is to do this. There's nothing else. So creating community for me is a huge thing. Now, sometimes I see now my students coming to my class with my bags, my branding. I launched a retreat 4 days ago. I'm almost sold out. I have 5 spots left, and literally in like 3-4 days. So my community shows up. My community is amazing. It's amazing, and the most amazing thing about them is like they believe in what I do, and they truly, truly support me, and this is amazing. It's amazing for me to see, to experience, and be part of it. Like I was in August I was supporting my teacher in Manchester in a training that he did 7 days, and the community was amazing there. But also, some of my students came to see my teacher, to be there, and like that was also like a very, very huge highlight of my career. So seeing my students practicing with my teacher, it was almost like one of those kind of like key moments in life, and I was like, wow, they even like believe in what I do so much that they want to see more. They want to know like where I'm coming from, like where do I learn, and this is for me, it's also like mind blowing.
Oh, Maria, I knew this was going to be a great conversation, and it has been. Tell us how we can find you. Where are you on the internet? Go.
So, you can find me. I'm on Instagram. It's Maria Peace Yoga, as you can see here. I guess you're gonna tag
But
me
let's just hang on.
somewhere.
Let's just spell it out. So
Yeah.
Maria Peace, Peace yoga. Obviously, yoga.
Great. Thank you. I'm very bad at spelling, so thank you for that.
You're
Thank you for giving me a hand. So yes, I am on Instagram. You can find me there. Everything I do, everything that you want to share, everything I'm gonna be there. And I do have, as I said, 5 spots left. So if you wanna get to know me or practice with me and understand like who is this person, I'm actually gonna be running a 4-day weekend immersion in Norfolk in the UK. So if you're around, let me know if you wanna come. It's fun. You can be part of my community, and yeah,
And you
that's it.
teach in East of Eden in Walthamstow.
Yes, I teach
And
Istabiden and more yoga. You can find me in more yoga timetable. I teach in many studios, but yeah, if you wanna connect, just have me on Instagram, and then we can chat.
Maria, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jess. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening today, and a huge thanks to Maria for sharing her story with us. Maria's journey from hiding her Latin identity as a child to now fully embracing every part of who she is really struck me. That transformation from the girl who always wore makeup and fashionable clothes to prove something to the woman who now rocks her iconic purple Crocs, if you know, you know, absolutely everywhere. That's the kind of self-acceptance we all deserve. I love Maria's perspective on success as freedom and her belief that if you close your eyes and truly see yourself doing something, it will happen. There is something so powerful about that level of conviction, that tunnel vision she learned from her dad, and combined with her naturally positive outlook where challenges aren't obstacles but just things that show her something new. It's no wonder she's built such an incredible career and community. Maria's advice to give yourself permission to create the life you truly want also resonated deeply with me. It sounds so simple, but as she said, actually having the balls to do it takes real courage. Whether it's quitting your job to teach yoga full time during a pandemic or moving onto a boat to chase your dreams, Maria and her students are living proof that anything is possible when you believe in yourself. The biggest takeaway for me is how Maria's authenticity has become her greatest asset. She shows up as her rawest self in her classes, and that's exactly why her community gravitates towards her. They believe in what she does because she genuinely believes in it herself. That confidence that comes from truly knowing yourself is the foundation of real success. And find Maria on Instagram at Maria Peace Yoga. That's MariaPeace Yoga. And if you want to experience her teaching firsthand, which I would highly recommend, she's got classes at East of Eden in Walthamstow and more yoga, plus retreat spots filling up fast. Thanks for the inspiration, Maria, and for reminding us that self-development is a lifelong journey, not a destination. If this week's episode of Successful AF has resonated with you, I want to hear about it. Drop me a line at successfulafpod@gmail.com, and I'm always looking for inspirational people to join me on the pod. So if you know someone who you think would be great, nominate them or yourself at successfulafpod@gmail.com. Also, please do like and subscribe. It does help, and I really appreciate you being here. See you next time.